Read Isaiah 45.
No, man.
If you read Isaiah 45, you will see in context the servant can't be the Messiah.
They don't relate to each other.
It says that I was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him. By his stripes
he
we
knows
are healed.
it because he never read the New Testament. He'll never be able to find out whether it's the truth or not. So that's why I say, because he said that the New Testament is a heresy for them to read, and they're not allowed to read it because it's a heresy, an heretic book. You know, that's what I'm saying. So he's not reading the New Testament, so he's never going to find out.
Isaiah 53.
He said he's not talking about the Messiah.
Isaiah 53. Could you in Isaiah 53? Isaiah 53 talks about, you say it's Israel.
Yes, the people of Israel.
It says, he was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him.
And he here is talking about the people of Israel, because the people of Israel are the servants of God.
And by his stripes we're healed.
It's first person singular. It's not plural.
Exile because of our sins, and the suffering that we have in our exile is the atonement for our sins. Okay, and therefore it's talking about the people of Israel.
Okay. No. In Leviticus.
No, it's not people, man.
And if you look,
it's one person, man. One person.
Let's speak.
Yeah, but that's why I'm saying I'm correcting him. It's one person, first person singular. Yes, it's not plural. Do you show me plural?
Let's speak.
It's one person. He's talking about the person.
We're on about Isaiah 53, and now we're going on about sacrifice, and talking. The question that I'd like to ask is, you know, in the Old Testament when they had the sacrifice of the animals, how do you see that as a Jew today? In the Old Testament, in Leviticus 17, was it? They sacrificed.
Just in 17.
Yeah. So they sacrificed animals for sins, yeah. So
it's actually sacrificing, it's offering up.
Yeah.
The reason why in Hebrew it's called korbanot, it comes from the root of korov, which means to come near. The whole point of it is to come near to God, because when you do a sin, okay, you distance yourself from God, and then and what you're doing with this, with the whole offering service of the animals, okay, is in order to get you close to God.
Okay. So there was no taking sin upon the animal.
You're not putting the
sins were covered actually. They were not forgiven.
So
they were covered.
Was there a goat killed and then another goat let loose?
Oh yeah, the Day of Atonement.
Yes. Could you explain what that means from a Jewish perspective?
Yes. So from the Jewish perspective, you're right. That goat that is taken out to Azazel, so it's taken out to the wilderness and thrown off a cliff. That goat is said to be carrying the sins of the nation. Okay, you're right.
So you would agree with that?
I do agree with that.
Right, okay.
That's the Jewish perspective on that goat. Whereas the other goat that is offered up does not have the sins on it. That's in order to bring the nation close to God again.
Okay. So when Jesus said in John 3:16,
we never read the New Testament.
But just for argument's sake, Jesus said, "For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whoever believes on Him shall not perish, but have everlasting life." Jesus saw His life as a sacrifice for our sin. He was taking on board all that happened in the Old Testament sacrifices. Why can't you accept that?
I'll tell you why. Because in Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 16, it says, "Father shall not die for son, son shall not die for father, rather every man is responsible for his own sin. And therefore, one man cannot die for another man's sin."
You see?
Yeah, but in Deuteronomy chapter 18, it said a final prophet would come. Is that correct?
It's not about one specific prophet. It's talking about the laws of prophets in general, of prophets that will come after Moses. So, for example, Joshua and Samuel, and Nathan and Gad and David and Solomon and Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Isaiah, John, Amos, and
when he says prophet, is it plural or singular?
It's in the singular. However, you find all over the Tanakh, that the verse will say singular. It's talking about a collective whole.
Okay. Well, you would agree with
about Isaiah 53 because I want to clarify that.
Okay,
I want to clarify that because he said it's plural, and I want to show him that it's actually singular. It refers to one person, not to more.
I didn't say it's in the plural. First of all,
You said the people of Israel. That's why you said. Did they say that? Did he say that?
However,
He said
once
that.
again, just like
Speaking about one person. Can you read it, please? To clarify that, can you read it?
Do you know any group?
I know it's in the singular. First of all, okay. I know it's in the
It's in a singular.
But just as I said before,
So who is this person? Who is this person? I just want to know who is this person if it's not Jesus.
Not Christ.
You've got to let him speak.
just as I said before, okay, if you read the chapters coming up to that from chapter 45, 6, 7, 8, 9, okay, but mainly 45, you'll see that the servant of God is the nation of Israel. And in biblical Hebrew grammar, when you talk about a nation, that's going to be in the singular, because you're not talking about the individual members of it. And therefore it's going to be in the singular. That's why the whole of 53 is in the singular, because it's talking about the nation of Israel.
You are saying that it's contradicting. You are saying that it's contradicting.
Just like all over the Tanakh, whenever it talks about a unit as a whole, it uses the singular, even though you'd expect it.
When you interpret,
let's just read this. Let's just read this because it's like, you show here because it's portraying Jesus perfectly. It's one person singular, yes, one person singular. Listen, man. Listen.
Wait a second. How's that?
Verse 10. Read the verse 10. I think the word.
Let him read the Kazakh.
If you know the meaning, you're supposed to know what is the word.
Yes,
in Hebrew. Because it mentions this. Yes? Now explain this. Tell him to explain this if you know the meaning. Yes? We see.
So what does Usher mean?
You just read the verse in English.
The verse says, "But the Lord chose to crush him by disease, that if he made himself an offering for guilt, he might see offspring, have long life.
He might, yes.
And that through him the Lord's purpose might prosper."
Okay.
So whatever.
Can you read it, please? Because you said it is. No, you did. You read the entire chapter.
Yeah, but the thing is,
listen.
It's 12 verses.
Exactly. Whoa, such a long.
If you read the
it takes
chapter,
1 minute.
read the whole
It takes
chapter.
1 minute to read. Yes.
Let's time this how long.
Listen, man. You don't want to accept it. Yes. This is
Who can believe what we have heard? On whom the arm of the Lord be revealed. For he has grown by his favour like a tree crown, like a tree shrunk out of arid ground. He had no form of beauty that we should look at him, no charm that we should find him pleasing. He was despised, shunned by men, a man of suffering, and he was diseased, as one who hid his face from us. He was despised, we held him of no account. Yet it is of our sickness that he was bearing, our suffering that he endured, we counted him plagued, smitten and afflicted by God. But he was wounded because of our sins, crushed because of our iniquities. He bore the chastisement and made us whole. By his bruises we were healed. We all went astray like sheep, each going his own way, and the Lord visited upon him the guilt of all of us. He was maltreated, yet he was submissive. He did not open his mouth. Like a sheep led to slaughter, like a ewe dumb before those who shear her, he did not open his mouth. By oppressive judgment he was taken away. Who could describe his abode? He was cut off from the land of the living, the son of my people, who deserved the punishment.
That's Jesus, isn't it?
He said among the wicked and with the rich, in his death, though he had done no injustice and had spoken no falsehood, but the Lord chose to crush him by disease, that if he made himself an offering for guilt, he might see offspring and have long life. And that through him the Lord's purpose might prosper. Out of his anguish he shall see it, he shall enjoy to the full through his devotion. My righteous servant makes many righteous, and is their punishment that he bears. Assuredly I will give him many as his portion, he shall receive the multitude as his spoil. For he exposed himself to death, and was numbered among the sinners. Whereas he bore the guilt of the many and made intercession for sinners.
Who is he speaking about? One person, first person singular.
As I said before,
he's not speaking about a unit, he's not speaking about a nation, he's speaking about one person, yes? One person suffering.
He's talking in the singular,
yes.
All over Tanakh.
Taking the iniquities of others, right? Okay, is he speaking about that?
Yes.
Okay, who is this person?
Let him explain.
I will let him, I'm just...
But all over Tanakh, whenever it's talking about a collective whole, it uses the singular. If you look at chapter 45, you'll see that the servant of God is the nation of Israel as a whole, which is why this is in the singular, and therefore the servant of God here, just like in 45, is the nation of Israel.
When you're interpreting the Old Testament, do you use the Mishnah and the Talmud as a basis to understand the Old Testament? Yeah. So when we're looking at the Old Testament, we're looking at it purely from the Old Testament, but you're not just looking at the Old Testament. Correct me if I'm wrong, you also have the body of the Talmud and the Mishnah as a basis of interpreting.
Of course.
So does that have any influence on your interpretation of
Well,
Isaiah?
this particular one, no, because I don't
No.
really know what it says in covenant vision regarding
Okay, okay. You're a wonderful guy. You're a really nice guy to talk to, you know.
I like you don't interrupt people.
Well, you're a nice
I
guy.
apologize.
Can you tell him the meaning of the word Hashem?
I apologize.
Asham means God.
Yes, yes, but
Why are you
according to
putting
him,
words
according
in
to
his
him,
mouth?
what